When 10 millionaire chefs mocked her, the poor dishwasher revealed an amazing secret that changed everything. Sofia wiped the sweat from her brow as she scrubs plate after plate in the tiny back kitchen of Ben's Bistro, a lively downtown Chicago restaurant. The air was thick with spices and laughter, but she felt as invisible as the soap bubbles slipping down the sink. At 28, Sofia's nights were filled with endless shifts, the clattering dishes merging with the chaotic symphony of her dreams, grand, bold meals that could make hearts sing. But dreams often felt like distant stars, shining brightly but always out of reach. Then, news spread like wildfire, an exclusive culinary competition was coming to town. The creme de la creme of chefs, people with culinary degrees and Michelin stars, would be competing right in her backyard. She watched the millionaire chefs parade through the restaurant, their laughter echoing off the walls. When she mentioned her dream to become a chef, they erupted in laughter. A dishwasher dreaming of being a chef? That's rich. One of them scoffed. It stung, igniting a fierce indignation in Sofia. She vowed silently to prove them wrong, returning to her tiny apartment, burdened by her father's care and bills that multiplied faster than her hopes. She was about to lose all faith. Then she stumbled upon an old cookbook, worn and faded, belonging to her grandmother, a strong street food chef who filled the homes of their small town with love and flavor. Each dog-eared page transported her to her childhood, to a kitchen aromatic with spices, laughter, and the way her grandmother would sprinkle stories and traditions, transforming plain ingredients into unforgettable dishes. As Sofia began to experiment, adding a dash of her spirit to her grandmother's traditional recipes, a warmth blossomed inside her. She invited neighbors over for small tastings, her cooking igniting nostalgia and smiles. Through the laughter and shared moments, she felt the power of community. Sofia was no longer just a dishwasher, she was a creator, blending memories with hope. But as the competition date loomed closer, self-doubt crept in like a thief in the night. The restaurant owner noticed her spark and offered her a chance to showcase her talent. But what if those chefs laughed again? Just as she was about to retreat into fear, she remembered her grandmother's resilience, her fierce spirit ignited. The day of the competition arrived. Sofia's heart raced as she pushed through the crowd of elite chefs, each a titan in the culinary world. They dismissed her, their condescension palpable as they scoffed at her humble beginnings. But in a moment of transcendence, Sofia closed her eyes and remembered the sweet taste of her grandmother's secret ingredients, the love that bonded every meal. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The pressure was thick, the air electric. As she prepared the final touches, her heart pounded. Could she risk everything, her dignity, her dreams, just to be seen? The moment hung heavy, a heartbeat away from revelation. Could her secret, her heritage, finally shine in a world that had tried to label her as just a dishwasher? The crowd buzzed with anticipation. Would she step out of the shadows and claim her moment, or retreat into the safety of the sidelines? Sofia opened her eyes, a fire igniting in her chest. She had spent years in the shadows, but today, that shadow would become her greatest ally. With a deep breath, she moved confidently to her station, every ingredient in front of her a symbol of her journey. Challenges faced and overcome, memories made and cherished. The judges were seated at their long table, their scrutinizing eyes like laser beams. Sofia couldn't afford to falter. She poured all her energy into her first dish, a twist on her grandmother's spicy chicken adobo, infused with a hint of lime and fresh herbs, creating a zing that danced on the tongue. As she stirred the pot, she felt the warmth of her grandmother's spirit guiding her hand. Memories flooded back, the love that filled their small kitchen, the laughter, the community gatherings, all centered around food. She plated the dish meticulously, garnishing it with a handful of crisp cilantro. This was not just a food dish, it was a story. A story of resilience, family, and heritage. With her heart pounding in rhythm with the bustling bistro around her, Sofia stepped forward to present her creation. The first judge, a renowned chef with a critical eye, took a bite. His expression shifted immediately from indifference to surprise. His brows furrowed in thought, and Sofia's heart raced faster. She watched as he closed his eyes, savoring the flavors. The audience hushed, anticipation hanging thick in the air, each person leaning forward as if to catch even the slightest hint of approval. The second judge followed suit, closing her eyes as well. When she took that first bite, a smile broke across her face, a smile filled with genuine delight. "This," she began, her voice steady but warm, "is incredible. The layers of flavor, it feels like home." At that moment, Sofia felt the weight of years of doubt begin to lift. Cheers erupted from some members of the audience, a surge of unexpected support. For the first time, she felt seen, appreciated for more than just scrubbing plates. Then came the final judge, a celebrity chef known not only for his acclaimed restaurants but also for his brutal honesty. He too sampled her dish. Seconds ticked by like hours as he remained focused, perplexed by what he was experiencing. Finally, he looked up, a mix of surprise and respect painted across his face. Sofia knew she had crossed a threshold, but before she could bask in the moment, she felt a burning question rise within her. What if they only praised the dish and not her? What if she remained a shadow, still dismissed despite this fleeting moment of glory? Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, locking eyes with the judges. "This dish carries my grandmother's legacy. It's not just food, it's a piece of my heart. I want to share more than flavors. I want to share a story, a culture that has shaped who I am." She spoke, her voice rising above the din around her. The applause erupted again, vibrating through her. It was no longer just the dish they were applauding, it was her, Sofia, the woman who had dared to dream. The weight of their laughter transformed into something lighter, a kind of respect. As the competition continued, Sofia's confidence soared. With each passing moment, she felt closer to her calling. The support of her community echoed in her heart, pushing her forward. But just as she finished her second dish, an unexpected twist caught her breath. The infamous Millionaire chefs began murmuring amongst themselves. What were they planning? Sofia's heart raced again, this time with a throbbing sense of urgency. Just when she thought she was breaking out of the shadows, had she just landed back in them? What did they know that she didn't? Would her journey turn into something else entirely? Sofia couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that gripped her. As she plated her second dish, a vibrant salad with grilled prawns and a zesty mango dressing, she caught snippets of the Millionaire chefs chatting, their whispers punctuated with laughter. Each chuckle felt like a jab, each sideways glance a reminder of how far removed she was from their world. She focused, pushing aside the doubts that crowded her mind. With her back to the judges, she could feel her grandmother's presence, firm and unyielding, like the ancient recipes passed down like treasures. This dish was once again a testament to her roots. "Focus on what you can control," she muttered to herself, squeezing lime over the prawns. The tangy scent filled her senses, grounding her in this moment. One step at a time, she reminded herself. Is that even edible? One judge, a craggy-faced Millionaire chef, scoffed loudly enough for Sofia to hear. Looks more like a tropical mess than an entree. Laughter erupted from his companions, and for a fleeting moment, embarrassment washed over her. At that moment, a flicker of fire ignited within Sofia. This wasn't just about winning a competition anymore. Beneath the teasing laughter lay ignorance and underestimation of her passion, her culture, and her talent. With a determined heart, she placed the finished salad before the judges and stepped back, arms crossed, ready to face whatever came next. The first judge took a bite, his expression neutral. She watched, hardly breathing. Then, he paused, lingering over a mouthful of flavors, in stark contrast to his earlier comment. As he chewed, the tension in the air thickened, and Sofia could hardly swallow her nervousness. "It's refreshing," he said, surprise lacing his voice. "Refreshing?" Another judge echoed. "That's all you've got? We need to know more about this." Sofia dared to allow hope to blossom. Maybe they would finally understand. The second judge tasted her dish, and the smirk on her face melted into something resembling awe. The balance of sweetness and acidity. "It's like a burst of sunshine on a plate," she exclaimed, a genuine smile breaking through. But Sofia's focus was still on the third judge. He took his time, simmering in the flavors. The silence loomed ominously. Then, finally, he leaned back, a contemplative look etched on his face. "Your grandmother would be proud," he said quietly, then added, "But tell me, Sofia, what's the story behind this? As she opened her mouth to answer, she felt a connection to the crowd watching, their faces painted with curiosity and support. This was her moment. "This is more than just cuisine," she began, her voice steady and clear. "This is about survival. Each ingredient comes from my past, the hot sun of the Philippines, the bustling markets where my grandmother taught me how to cook, and the sense of community that comes when families gather." Sofia gathered the courage to share her story, weaving in strands of her family's history with each word. Faces in the audience softened. She spoke of her grandmother's struggles, of how food had been a lifeline, a way to stand tall against the odds. The once mocking chefs were silent now, hanging on to her every word. The energy shifted, and with it, her resolve strengthened. She was no longer a mere competitor, she was an ambassador of her culture. As she spoke, the murmurs of the millionaire chefs faded, replaced by a singular focus on her. But just as she was building momentum, she noticed something from the corner of her eye. One of the chefs whispered something to the others, and their expressions turned serious. What was happening? Was she winning them over or losing them entirely? Sofia's heart raced. Would they undermine her story at the last moment? What shocking twist awaited her in this battleground of culinary dreams? Everything. Sofia's mind raced. Was this the moment she had envisioned, the breakthrough that would change everything? Or was it the cusp of disaster? She paused, clenching her hands into fists. The judges whispered among themselves, their brows furrowed as their earlier laughter faded. What are they discussing? She thought, anxiety twisting in her stomach. The crowd shifted, eyes flickering between the chefs and her. She could feel the weight of their attention heavy, suffocating, yet also electrifying. Every heartbeat matched the ticking clock, each second stretching painfully as she awaited their verdict. The third judge, the one whose thoughtful expression had both comforted and unnerved her, finally broke the tension. "Sofia," he called out, drawing her deeper into the moment. "Your dish speaks volumes, but what's missing is intimacy. This isn't solely a plate of food, it's an anchor to your past. What can you share that goes beyond the ingredients?" Her heart sank momentarily. Intimacy? Here, in front of these wealthy chefs? Did they even understand the depth of her experiences? The room was quiet, the kind of silence that pressed against her chest. But she knew she had to dig deeper, to speak from her soul. "Food is my refuge," she began slowly, unlocking a place in her heart. "Growing up, my family struggled. My grandmother didn't just feed us, she infused love and tradition into every meal." Her gaze swept across the audience, finding their warmth, drawing strength from it. "When my mother left for America, it was my grandmother who kept us together, through dinner tables filled with her recipes." She saw nods of understanding from some of the faces in the crowd. Perhaps they, too, had family stories of struggle. "Every ingredient is a reminder of her strength, a slice of mango for the sweetness she brought to our lives, the grilled prawns for our shared dreams." This was more than a dish, it was a heartfelt tribute. It felt like a song, a story being woven under the scrutiny of the judges. One of the judges leaned forward, intrigued. "And your biggest challenge?" he asked softly, drawing her in like a good friend. Her breath caught. So many challenges swept through her mind, each with its own weight. "Accepting who I am. I've always felt out of place, the dishwasher in a world of chefs," she confessed, feeling more transparent than ever. "But what I realized is, it's my background that fuels me. Rather than turn away from it, I've chosen to embrace it." A shift occurred. The atmosphere hummed with energy as if her words ignited something in the air. The laughter had evaporated, replaced by something more profound. Respect? Understanding? Perhaps even admiration? It was hard to read the expressions of the chefs now, their initial arrogance slowly unraveling. The third judge smiled gently, looking less like a critic and more like a mentor. "Sofia," he said, his tone warm, "what you shared is powerful. It reminds us why we love food in the first place: connection, celebration, community." Her heart danced. Had she truly touched them? Perhaps they now saw the vibrant story swirling around her dish. But then it hit her: what if their newfound respect twisted into something else? Was there a price for this revelation? What happens if they exploit my story? She wondered. The excitement mingled with concern, a conflicting cocktail of hope and fear swirling in her mind. Before she could ponder further, the first judge spoke again. Your dish has changed our perspective, but we need to explore more. It's time for your next course, and I trust you'll bring the same passion as you did here. Each word felt like a challenge, a question waiting to be answered. Sofia's heart thrummed. She could feel the pulse of the competition beckoning her forward. Would she rise to the occasion or falter under the pressure? The stakes had changed not just for her, but for everyone watching. With the spotlight now firmly on her, she knew one thing: her journey had only just begun, and in the face of her fears, she was ready to carve her place. But as she turned to the kitchen, a lingering doubt remained. What if the story had other twists ahead that she wasn't prepared to face? Sofia inhaled deeply, trying to steady her racing heart. The tension in the room felt like a thick fog as she turned back to the chaos of the kitchen. Every sound, the clattering of pans, the sizzling of meat, and the bubbling of sauces was amplified in her ears, urging her onward. She didn't have much time. She glanced at the clock, a merciless reminder that seconds were slipping away. Her next dish needed to resonate just as deeply as the last. The faces of the judges were still vivid in her mind, their reactions blending into a mosaic of curiosity and contemplation. Sofia was determined to give them more than just food. She needed to serve up another piece of her heart. Think, she muttered under her breath as she scanned the ingredients laid out on the counter. Inspiration had to strike again, and fast. What spoke to her soul? Then a memory floated to the surface. A rainy afternoon spent in her grandmother's tiny kitchen, the scent of cornbread wafting through the air as they prepared for a family gathering. The laughter echoed around her, a saccharine warmth enveloping her like a hug. Her grandmother's smile, that soft, knowing smile, had always been a beacon, guiding her home with newfound energy. She grabbed the cornmeal. Cornbread, she whispered, the word drifting like a sweet promise. It wasn't just cornbread, it was a symbol of family, of perseverance. She could picture her grandmother, hands dusted with flour, pouring love into a dish that held the power to unite even the most fractured of families. Sofia moved with purpose now, her fingers dancing across the ingredients. She poured the cornmeal into a bowl, mixing it with buttermilk and eggs, carefully folding it together. Bright yellow corn kernels joined the batter, representing the brightness her grandmother had instilled in their lives. As she stirred, she could almost hear her grandmother's voice, urging her on, infusing the moment with all the warmth and love she had taught her. With every ingredient she added, she poured her memories into the dish: chopped jalapenos for the spice of life's challenges, a sprinkle of sugar for the sweet moments that held them together. As the cornbread baked in the oven, the aroma filled the kitchen, waltzing around her like an embrace. This was her moment. This was more than food, it was a testament to resilience, an ode to her legacy. Time flew as she prepared the accompanying dish, a fresh salsa brimming with vibrant colors. Diced tomatoes, bell peppers, and cilantro danced together on the cutting board. The combination reflected her journey, a mix of hardships transformed into something beautiful. Are you ready, Sofia? One of the sous chefs asked, snapping her back from her reverie. She nodded, wiping her brow, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She felt a flicker of hope, a belief that this dish could shine just like her grandmother's cornbread once had. As the timer beeped, Sofia pulled the golden cornbread from the oven. It glowed warmly, the crust inviting, the inside soft and fluffy. She plated it with care, topping it with the fresh salsa. Just before stepping out, she added a final flourish, a sprig of fresh cilantro atop each slice to mirror the connection she held with her roots. Sofia took a moment to breathe, looking out at the judges, their eyes resting expectantly on her dish. She felt the weight of their expectation again, but this time it didn't suffocate her. It fueled her resolve. Let this be the moment, she thought as she walked forward, her heart pounding with each step. What would they see in her this time? Would they grasp the story interwoven into her dish, or would it fall flat? Questions lingered like remnants of her fear, but the warmth of her memories ignited a fire within her. Her voice rang out clear. This cornbread is a foundation, a piece of me and my family's dreams. It's a celebration of resilience, of love that's passed down through generations. The silence hung thick, anticipation palpable. Every eye was on her, hoping, waiting. But just as she thought she conveyed her message, she caught the third judge's skeptical eyebrow raise. "And what if you missed the mark this time, Sofia? Can you truly juggle your past and your ambition?" It was a shot needing an answer. A challenge waiting to be met. She took a deep breath, determined to stand her ground. Suddenly, she felt that earlier flicker of hope turn into a blazing fire. "I will not let fear silence me any longer." She met the judge's gaze and felt an unspoken connection blossom between them, but as the moment stretched, shadows of doubt crept back in. Sofia whispered to herself, "What if this doesn't work out? What if they see through me?" The clashing emotions threatened to unravel her, and she realized she hadn't just been battling for the win in this competition, she was fighting for herself. Would their next words inspire her or crush her spirit completely? Sofia stood there, heart pounding in her chest, waiting for the judge's response. The silence was deafening, the kind that twists and churns in your gut. She felt the weight of her grandmother's legacy resting on her shoulders and, with it, the daunting realization that she was not just cooking, she was laying bare her soul. Time seemed to stretch, those fleeting seconds extended into a lifetime. She caught the glimmer of the other judges exchanging glances, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in their eyes. Yet, she couldn't linger on their expressions. She had to believe in the boldness of her journey, and the love embedded in every bite of her dish. With a deep inhale, she pressed on. "I've woven these flavors with care. It's not just a meal, it's a memory, and memories matter." The skeptical judge cracked a faint smile, but her critical gaze remained firm as she leaned forward. "Memory is powerful, Sofia. But can you transform that into a score that resonates beyond nostalgia?" That question hung heavily, much like the scent of her fresh cornbread. A pang of doubt shot through her, but she quickly brushed it aside. "Yes," she replied, her voice steady. "It's why I'm here to show that we can create something beautiful from where we come from." The tension began to lift slightly as she offered the plates, each carefully arranged, colors bursting forth from the fresh salsa against the golden cornbread. The contrast mirrored her own life, bright amidst the dark. The first judge took a bite and his eyes widened, a wave of surprise washing over his initially stoic expression. "This is exceptional," he murmured, taking another bite as if he was savoring a cherished memory. Sofia's heart lightened. A reaction like that was everything she'd hoped for. But just as confidence began to bubble in her chest, the skeptical judge remained silent, finishing her bite with a deliberate slowness that left Sofia's excitement in a precarious balance. As the judge began to speak, the kitchen door suddenly swung open, the loud clang echoing through the room. A figure burst in, looking around in confusion. It was Marcus, her childhood friend. He was out of breath, eyes wide with excitement. "Sofia! They just announced the results for the next phase of the competition. You've made it to the final round." The room momentarily turned into a whirlwind of congratulatory noise. Judges and sous chefs were caught off guard as the reality sunk in, clapping and cheering, but Sofia stood frozen in place, her heart racing. Was she really in the final round? Did her journey just catapult to the next level? But then it shifted again. The skeptical judge turned to Marcus and her expression hardened. "This isn't a celebration yet. She must show she belongs here. We have standards to uphold," she snapped, dismissing her exuberance. Sofia felt that fire inside her waver, threatened by the judge's cutting remark. Was she truly up to the challenge? The journey could only get tougher from here. What was it going to take to prove herself worthy? Marcus caught her eye, and for a moment, everything else faded. He nodded, and it sparked something deep within her, a reminder of their countless dreams shared over hearty meals and long conversations about life. She could become something more than just a dishwasher, she could transform her story. "Thank you, Marcus," she whispered, squeezing his hand tightly as the reality of the final round loomed ahead. "We did this together." With this new resolve, she focused back on the judges, all eyes on her, scrutinizing every taut line across her face as if it held the keys to their decisions, and then, from the front row, the skeptical judge fixed her once more with an unyielding gaze. "The real challenge is ahead, Sofia. You'll need grit and authenticity. Can you handle what's to come?" The warmth of her grandmother's spirit surged back through her. I am ready, she declared, her voice ringing with a new strength she didn't know she had. But as she walked away from the judge's table towards the next round, a sudden wave of doubt crept back. Did she truly possess the grit needed to rise to meet this challenge and prove she belonged in the world of the culinary elite? With her grandmother's legacy urging her on, a familiar phrase echoed in her mind: dreams are only worth pursuing if you're willing to fight for them. Motions of determination flickered within her, yet in the midst of her resolve, a chilling thought crested: can you really be authentic in a competition that demands perfection? Could her true self break through the noise? Each question laid heavy as she stepped closer to her destiny. Sofia moved through the kitchen with a ferocity she hadn't felt before. The sweet and savory scents lingered in the air, each a reminder of her purpose. But as she entered the final round, a mix of excitement and fear surged through her veins. On one side, her heart raced with dreams that expanded beyond what she had ever imagined. On the other, doubt gnawed at the edges. Would her simple, honest upbringing resonate in a world filled with extravagant flavors and technical perfection? The atmosphere buzzed with tension. Chefs were rushing about, yelling orders, brainstorming, and pouring their souls into every detail. It was mesmerizing but daunting. Having spent most of her life watching others create culinary masterpieces, there she was, standing amidst them. This was her chance, but the weight felt crushing. In the corner, she saw celebrity chefs debating enthusiastically over a dish. Their laughter rang out, but it was diluted, drowned by the shouts of the competitors. They wore their high-end aprons with pride, their status suffocatingly clear. Did they recognize the sweat and tears that went into their passion? Would they see Sofia as just another competitor or as someone worth respecting? Then, she spotted Marcus. He stood near the doorway, a comforting beacon amidst the turmoil. He flashed her a smile, igniting a warmth deep within. Just knowing he was there made her feel less alone. "You got this," he mouthed, as if he could hear the chaos rattling around her. Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to focus. The first task required each chef to create an appetizer that was inspired by their heritage. This was her moment. She could speak the language of her grandmother's kitchen, the flavors of her childhood dancing in her mind. But as she moved to gather her ingredients, whispers floated from nearby contestants, sharp and mocking. "Did you see that cornbread? Adorable, but does she understand the complexities of fusion cuisine?" Another chuckled, a humble dishwasher thinking she can play with the pros. What a show! Sofia's heart sank, and a storm of emotions flooded through her. She froze for a moment, the sharp edges of their words cutting into her resolve. Just then, the skeptical judge from earlier walked by, her perfectly coiffed hair bouncing as she surveyed the room. The last thing Sofia wanted was to let her down. No, not now, Sofia silently chastised herself. She couldn't show weakness. With every ounce of determination, she turned her back to the mockery and faced the counter before her. It was just her, the ingredients, and a heartbeat of memory urging her on. She reached for vibrant peppers and fresh cilantro, crucial elements for the dish she envisioned. This wasn't just about the food. It was about her story, a bridge between where she came from and what she hoped to achieve. A proud shimmer of resilience surged through her fingertips as she set to work. As she chopped and stirred, snippets of her grandmother's kitchen filled her thoughts. The laughter, the love, and those warm moments wrapped in the aroma of home. Each slice and blend was a tribute to her roots, an anthem of authenticity. But just as she molded her dish, the room around her erupted with panic. A nearby chef smashed a mixing bowl, sending shards everywhere. "Get it together!" someone yelled. Sofia's heart raced. Could chaos derail her purpose? With a quick glance at Marcus, she saw only encouragement. Fueled by the lifted spirits of her heritage, she refused to let the noise penetrate her focus. She would rise above the chaos, and as she plated her appetizer, she saw not just a dish but a piece of herself, a reflection of her fight, her history, her hope. It was time to claim her space, but as she prepared to present her dish, the skeptical judge's gaze burned into her with undeniable intensity. "What can you tell us about this dish?" she asked, her voice cutting through the air. "Everything," Sofia replied, her voice unwavering. "It's not just a plate, it's my story." In that moment, she realized that she had something extraordinary hidden within her. authenticity the others couldn't comprehend. But would the judges appreciate it? As she awaited their reactions, uncertainty swirled like a tempest within her. Would her truth break through the veneer of culinary perfection, or would it all come crashing down? The time had come. Sofia stood in front of the judges, her heart thumping like a drum in her chest. The pressure hung heavy, a thick fog of expectation and uncertainty wrapping around her. She could feel the skeptical judge's cool gaze piercing through her, searching for weakness, but she refused to waver. This was her time, her moment to shine. The room simmered with tension. The other competitors watched, their expressions a mix of amusement and derision. But beneath it all, Sofia felt something shift within her. She wasn't just a dishwasher anymore, she was a storyteller, and the dish in front of her was her voice. The judge leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. So, Sofia, you say this is your story. Tell us, what story does this dish tell? Sofia swallowed hard, but she held on to the warmth of her grandmother's kitchen. This dish is a homage to my roots, she began, her voice gaining strength. It combines my grandmother's cornbread recipe with spicy roasted peppers and a fresh cilantro vinaigrette. It's about blending the old with the new, much like how I blend my past with my dreams for the future. A sudden quiet swept across the room, like a deep breath before a plunge. The judges exchanged glances, and Sofia's heart raced with every second of their silence. It was as if they were weighing her soul against the crafted elegance surrounding them. The skeptical judge raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. Cornbread? Interesting choice. But does it hold up in this competition? Will it impress our sophisticated palate? Sofia inhaled deeply, determination flooding her veins. Cornbread reminds me of family dinners, of love and laughter. It's a comfort food, but with the right spices, it can surprise you. Just like me. She gestured to the plate, where the cornbread was embraced by vibrant colors. The soft butter gently melting on top glistened in the light, drawing the judge's eyes. Another judge, a robust man with a friendly smile, leaned in closer, inhaling the aroma. I can smell the heart in this dish, Sofia. Let us see if it tastes as good, he said warmly. As she watched him take a bite, time seemed to stall. The clattering of pots and pans faded into a distant background noise. She could hardly breathe, her hopes balancing on the edge of that single moment. His eyes widened slightly, the wheels of thought turning in his mind. He chewed slowly, savoring every flavor. The room held its breath collectively, waiting for his verdict. And as he swallowed, he nodded appreciatively. This is remarkable. The blend of flavors truly represents your journey. It's beautifully executed. The applause that erupted from the other judges drowned out the earlier whispers of doubt. Sofia felt a rush of warmth and elation. They were recognizing her. She was no longer invisible, no longer just a footnote in someone else's story, but before she could fully revel in it, the skeptical judge spoke again, her tone sharper now. It's a good dish for sure, but can you elevate it beyond comfort food? This isn't just about home. You need to suggest a new direction, a new twist. A knot tightened in Sofia's stomach. Pressure swelled again, and the insistence of the judge's challenge threw her into a whirlwind of thoughts. Comfort food or not, could she truly transform it into something more? She turned to Marcus, who stood thoughtfully by the door, still radiating encouragement. The worry etched on his face mirrored the weight she now felt pressing down on her. Could she find another layer in her dish? Would they see the magic of her history intertwined with innovation? Her mind raced as she scanned her plate, searching for inspiration. Just above the cornbread, she noticed her grandmother's small, simple jar of hot sauce on the counter, a staple at home. It held a punch of flavor, an unexpected kick to elevate her dish. Taking a bold step forward, Sofia spoke with newfound conviction. I can add my grandmother's hot sauce for a surprise element. It's built on the sweetness of the cornbread with a piquant finish, reflecting the many flavors of my journey. The judges listened intently, their eyes lighting up with curiosity. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to admiration. The challenge had ignited Sofia's spark, and fear turned into a thrilling anticipation, but now, as she prepared to showcase her evolution, would the additions truly resonate with the judges? Was this the moment she could cement her place among them, or would it lead her dreams to another pitfall? The urgency in the air was palpable, and she gripped her plate, knowing she was about to take a risk that could either make or break her. Could her simple dish create a masterpiece that showcased who she really was? And as she held her breath, her heart full of hope and fear, she knew one thing for certain: the journey was just beginning. Sofia took a moment to steady herself, feeling the weight of the judges' gazes burn into her. She could sense the tension thickening again, but she pushed it aside. This was her moment to stand tall. With a determined hand, she reached for the jar, the familiar quirk of her grandmother's hot sauce seeming to buzz with electric potential. "I'm going to elevate this dish," she declared, her voice steady as she unscrewed the lid. A wave of nostalgia washed over her as the scent of spices spilled into the air, reminding her of laughter echoing through the kitchen, of family nights filled with chatter and love. This was more than just a flavor, it was her legacy. As she drizzled the vibrant sauce over her cornbread and peppers, the colors danced together, a spectrum of emotion and taste. She watched the judges lean in closer, their interest piqued by the unexpected blend. The skeptical judge's brow furrowed for a moment, then softened as she spoke again. "Show us what it is you've created." "Each element of this dish tells a part of my story," Sofia explained, her energy rising. "The cornbread is warm and inviting, the peppers are bold like my dreams, and this sauce brings it all to life. Just as the struggles in my life have shaped me, each ingredient adds depth and flavor." With a nod of approval from the friendly judge, she presented the dish with renewed pride. She could feel the weight lifting, her heart racing with excitement. This was not merely about blending flavors, this was about unveiling who she was. The skeptical judge took the first bite. As she chewed, the room filled with an electric energy. The other judges held their breaths, watching for subtle hints of approval or dismay. Sofia's own heart pounded, anticipation gnawing at her. Time stretched. Then, a smile broke across the judge's face, slow, deliberate, genuine. "Now we're talking. This is a bold and inviting dish. You've taken comfort and transformed it into something that welcomes exploration." Cheers erupted from the other judges, and Sofia's heart leapt. Every risk she'd taken, every ounce of her past, felt validated in that singular moment. The realization that she wasn't just a washed-up dreamer but a promising contender filled her with joy. But just as she began to bask in the glow, the stakes grew higher. The skeptical judge leaned forward. "You have potential, but this is only one round. What happens when you reach the finals? Can you maintain this creativity under pressure?" His challenge hung in the air, a heavy weight pressing down once again. Sofia sensed her exhilaration wane, replaced with the fear of slipping back into the shadows of her past. Could she truly handle the stress of a competition so fierce, or a single plate could define her? Scenarios swirled in her mind as adrenaline coursed through her. She nodded, embracing the challenge in her heart. Every dish tells a new story. "I'm ready to share more." But was she truly confident enough to dive deeper into her creativity, to reveal even more of herself? As the judges continued to discuss her dish, Sofia felt a flicker of doubt begin to creep in. What if they expected even more from her? Would her next creation live up to the high standard she had just set? Her thoughts were a whirlwind, but inside, a resolve started to solidify. She wouldn't just settle for comfort food, she would redefine it. And as she stepped back, hearts racing and plates clattering, she glanced at Marcus. His supportive smile centered her. But before she could revel in her victory, her eyes caught the next contestant preparing with unmatched confidence. Would they shake her newfound momentum, or could she harness her fears to rise above the competition? Sofia grabbed her breath, determination flickering like a flame inside her. The next round was looming closer, and she was ready to face whatever came her way, even if it meant unraveling everything she knew about herself. As the competition resumed, the question lingered in her mind: was she ready to stretch beyond her comfort zone, or would the fear of failure threaten to extinguish the light she'd finally uncovered? Sofia stood at the threshold of her dreams, balancing uncertainty with a fierce resolve as the final round of the competition approached. The aromas lingered in the air, tempting her senses and reminding her of the journey she'd taken. Each step felt charged with possibilities. She knew the stakes had never been higher. Somehow, as worry mingled with hope, she found her focus, anchoring herself in the warmth of her grandmother's love. The judges circled like hawks, eyes keen and expectant. She could almost hear the whispers thick with doubt but chose to silence them. This is it, she told herself, a quiet mantra to push back the gnawing fear. She had come too far to let anyone define her, especially not those who had laughed at her dreams. With a deep breath, Sofia began brainstorming her dish. This time, it had to carry more than just her heart, it needed to celebrate the legacy that shaped her. The final round required a dessert, a sweet representation of her journey. Sweetness, she thought, like the joy shared in her grandmother's kitchen during family celebrations, with laughter rising above steaming pots of flipping through memories. Sofia remembered the Filipino delicacy her grandmother used to craft with such love, leche flan, a rich caramel custard that melted like dreams on the tongue. It was simple yet exquisite, just like the stories her grandmother wove into each bite. I'll make it my own, Sofia decided, visualizing how she could put a twist on it, infusing flavors of passion fruit and hints of ginger to marry tradition with her unique flair. With purpose, she gathered ingredients. The kitchen buzzed around her, the pressure mounting as competitors raced against time. Yet, in that chaos, Sofia felt a calmness wash over her. She whisked eggs, sugar, and milk, pouring her soul into each movement as memories of sun-drenched afternoons and her grandmother's wisdom guided her hands. Focus, Sofia. You've got this, she whispered as she stirred, infusing the mixture with zest and spirit. Once her flan was set to bake, she hurriedly prepared the passion fruit sauce. The sharp tang would cut through the sweetness, a representation of her own challenges triumphantly woven into the dish. Every splash, every whisk held meaning. It wasn't just a dessert, but a testament to resilience that would shine through each spoonful. As time raced on, the sizzling sounds of other competitors echoed in the background. The pressure simmered, flooding her with excitement and fear. How would they perceive her creation? Would the judges recognize her journey within it? With the final moments approaching, she plated her flan, the golden hue glistening under the kitchen lights. This final presentation was crucial. One wrong step could be the difference that left her in the shadows or brought her into the light. Heart pounding, she walked toward the judges, her spirits soaring with each step. It felt like time slowed, their gazes drinking in her dish, searching for the essence locked within. This is it, she thought. No turning back now. The skepticism was palpable as the first judge picked up the fork. He pierced through the smooth custard, lifting a perfect piece highlighted by the bright passion fruit. She held her breath, eyes wide in anticipation. Would they feel the passion behind her creation? The judge took a bite, pausing before his expression shifted. His brow furrowed, his lips curving into a smile that radiated warmth throughout the room. There is a depth to this, it's not just dessert. I can taste your story, Sofia, he said, the other judges nodding in agreement. Relief streamed through her as the applause echoed from the audience, validating every ounce of struggle and effort she poured into her passion. Yet the final judge, who had once scoffed at her ambition, now leaned forward, curiosity replacing skepticism. You've done well to forge a piece of yourself into this dish. Can you continue to create the unexpected in the world of culinary excellence? A thrill of confidence surged within her. I will, she declared firmly, remembering the countless hours spent in her grandmother's kitchen, the lessons whispered in the haze of aromatic spices. I'm here to show that even simple beginnings hold immense potential. With newfound acceptance among the judges, Sofia soaked in the moment. She had become more than just a competitor, more than a dishwasher. This is not only about food, she realized this was about reconnecting with her roots and daring to dream, no matter how daunting the journey. As they announced the winner, the crowd held its collective breath. While Sofia felt weighty expectation, the outcome no longer felt like everything. Regardless of the result, she had already conquered her fears. She had stepped into the light, sharing her story with the world. When they declared her name, a flicker of realization washed through the audience. They were not just applauding her culinary skill but the spirit of perseverance she embodied. As the cheers erupted, delight cascaded over Sofia. Tears of joy brimmed in her eyes, the celebration of not only her victory but of all the unseen battles she had faced. Amid the applause, she felt her grandmother's legacy surround her, wrapping her in a warm embrace. I did it, she whispered, her heart swelling. As she looked out at the crowd, feeling every gaze on her, Sofia knew this was just the beginning. The layers of her journey had unfolded beautifully, and her culinary story was far from over. With this triumph, she felt a calling and urge to empower others like her, chefs with humble beginnings and grand dreams. She would share her journey, mentoring aspiring cooks, telling them their past mattered, that they could capture their dreams. And now, dear friends, if you've been inspired by Sofia's journey, this is the time to take action. You need to subscribe now to our channel. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that ignite the spirit inside you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help share these incredible transformations. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, and let us know how it touched your heart. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference, and true fans know how crucial it is to stand by this community.